and he's a friend of mine, and so he wants me to basically partner with him. I'm going to put up all the money to buy the property, all the money to rehab the property, and then we're going to do an equitable split on the profit. Now, I don't know what the equitable split is going to be, but it'll be something that's fair to both of us. And I operate in that world quite a bit where people that don't have money, but they have an idea or they have a good opportunity with a home
Right.
to come in and partner with me or somebody like me to
And
help them out.
people might think, now, how would that make sense for you? Well, the reason it makes sense is because if you were unaware of this deal and somebody brought it to you and you have the funds to do it, why wouldn't you do it if it can make you some money too? So, like it does, it's just like somebody coming up with an invention or a patent and then they go sell it to someone else. Well, sometimes ideas are also worth something too, or a situation that maybe you wouldn't have run across without that person. So there is value in that to an investor, somebody that has the money to back some of these great ideas.
Well, Lori, you've heard of the phrase "skin in the game,"
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of people that don't like to loan money or don't like to partner unless someone else has skin in the game.
Right.
And all
That's
that really
true.
means is that they're putting something into it. You know, in
Mm-hmm.
other words, I don't want to loan you, say, $200,000 to buy a property unless you put $20,000 into it or $30,000. Um, to me, that makes no sense at all. And I'll tell you why. It's because if you know what you're doing and you go in and you have the ability, as you would as a realtor, if you know how to find out what a property's worth and you have the ability to find out how much it's going to cost to do the work, you have the ability to know whether or not there's money in the deal. So
Right.
the question I would ask, if somebody came to you, and I'll just say hypothetically, whoever's listening, let's just imagine that you have, $500,000 sitting in your bank account making basically 0% interest. And somebody comes to you and they say, I found the perfect house.
Mm-hmm.
It's in my family. We can pick it up for 200,000. We can do a little bit of work to it and we can easily sell that house for 350. And they say to you, but I have no money. Would you loan all the money and we can work out some kind of split? If you then said, no, I won't do that. I don't want to make $100,000 or $50,000 or whatever profit because you're not putting any skin in the game. That's ridiculous.
I think so too. And we do have a caller.
We do. It's Ryan.
Okay, Ryan. Thank you so much for calling into the Safari Real Estate Show. Do you have a question for us or a comment?
Yeah, I do have a question. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely.
I currently buy my investments with no money down. I do a lot of terms deals, but my question is, and I've never done a hard money flip or a private money flip just because I don't know how to talk to the private money guys. Because I find deals occasionally that I would like to flip, but because I don't know how to have that conversation about the money, I get turned down a lot, or I just don't even do that. Walk me through how I can start using you or other people like you for your money to get deals done, so that I'm not just stuck only with one bag of tools.
Well, we're very elusive, like unicorns. The I get this all the time. People say, well, "Where are these people? Where are these people with all this money that just want to, give it away?" The thing is, we're those of us that are out there either using our own money or pooling money with ourselves and others. We're very picky about the people that we do business with and the deals that we get into. We cherry pick because everybody wants our money. And so here's what I would suggest. We talked about a group earlier, the Roseville Meetup Group, and there are literally hundreds of people in this group that do the same thing that I do.
Yes.
And there are people there that have lots of money. I mean, there's millions of dollars in this group of money. And all you really have to do is get to know some of the people that do loan their own money or pool money privately and just talk to them. I mean, take them out, go to lunch, hang out, whatever, and just say, here's what I'm trying to do. They're more likely we loan money more on a personal level because we like the person that wants to do the deal, or we see that they have a good head on their shoulders, much more than, I've loaned money many times privately, and I don't think I've ever looked at a credit report.
That's what I was just going to add. A lot of times it has nothing to do with the credit because somebody with a great credit might have a non-profitable idea. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
or a situation where really their credit isn't really going to help them out in making you guys a bunch of money that's worthwhile.
Absolutely, and Ryan, one of the things too that might benefit you is that my meetup group is one meetup group in the Sacramento Roseville area. There's several other groups that are good size that quite a few people go to, and so you can actually go to more than one. I mean, if you really want to get out there and network, and you really want to meet a lot of investors quickly, there's 2 or 3 big groups in Sacramento you can go to, and their meetings are every month.
Yeah. And Ryan, one other thing, if you do go to David's group, you can sign up like I did to be one of the 10 speakers that they have on a next meeting. You won't get to right during that meeting, but you can sign up for like the next one, and you can get up there and pitch your idea. Let people know what you're looking for, that you're looking for investing or backing on some of your investments. So, I mean, it's a great way for you to get it out to hundreds of people. Are you still there, Ryan?
Oh yeah, I just was
Okay.
politely listening. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, that's great news. Thank you. And I actually plan on starting a group following David's lead here in Yuba City. I mean, this is a great resource. You guys are wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for calling in, and good luck with that. And get a hold of us if you need anything else.
Great, Ryan. Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
call.
All right. So that was interesting. That was great. So, so as far as the flipping and everything else goes, now the course, like a lot of people wonder if you have to take a course or if you need any, schooling. I know, like you mentioned before, you don't really need to have any sort of educational background or anything, but does it help as far as specifically for flipping?
Yeah, this is such a great question, and most of the courses out there, I think, are scams.
Okay.
I mean, that's just my own personal opinion. I've been to a few of them. I've been introduced to people that do it. Most of them are very, very weak on information, and they pump a lot of like, oh, you need to do this and do that, but they don't really, you don't really do any of it hands on. You don't
Yeah.
really actually do it. You can talk. It's kind of like imagine if you were a doctor and you go to medical school and you get straight A's and you know the information in a book, but you're not capable of going out there and doing brain surgery until someone has showed you how to do it.
Right.
And maybe that's a bad example.
No,
'cause,
it's really not. I
but-
mean, with everything, there's a hands-on education versus your book information.
Yeah, you have to learn. The best way to get good at flipping is you have to go out there and do it and get around other people that are doing it and go out. Because, I flipped a house last year, one that I remember, and it was a great flip. It was the classic flip. We got into the property and within did some rehab work and bought it off market. It wasn't even on MLS.
I think I remember this one.
and literally flipped it in about 30 to 35 days and made about $30,000.
That's great.
And it was a great price point, and it was a fantastic flip. Everything went pretty well. But every flip has unique things about it. It's a different neighborhood. It's different things wrong with the home. It's different things that surprise you that come up that you weren't expecting. And you have to be prepared for that.
I think a great way for somebody to really get into flipping is possibly find somebody that you know, or go to a group and find somebody that is flipping. Go hang out. Go to their job site. Help them out. Volunteer to do some work or whatever your area of expertise you feel you'll be able to contribute into a flip. And just kind of be there and just see what they're going through, what they're doing, how they're making their contacts, how they're marketing it right away afterwards, just all the things, and just what level of rehabbing people are actually doing and which ones are more necessary and more like a little bit better investment than others, because you want your home, the future flip, to maybe qualify for a loan.
That's an excellent point. You do want. There's a lot of things that go into it. People like myself I have an extensive lending background also, so I understand when I'm looking at a house what we have to do to that house to make it qualify for an FHA loan or for a VA or a conventional or hard money. I know those things. I know the rules, the underwriting guidelines for FHA. I know that if I buy this house, I can't sell it to somebody on an FHA loan until after 90 days. The FHA flipping rule. Knowing the guidelines when you're doing flips, or at least working with somebody who does, can help you out a lot. And you don't have to know everything. Again, you can ask questions. I mean, I get calls every day, calls where I'm not making any money. People are calling me up, people from my group or people I know, and saying, hey, Dave, I'm trying to flip this house, or I'm trying to buy this property, and I really need some help. I want to make sure I get a good deal. I want to make sure that I make money on this. Can you help me out? I mean, I've done that, 30,000 times over the last, 25 years. I mean, it's just nonstop. We constantly do it.
Because somebody with the, let's say the private money lending, okay, so you might get your hands on this property. You might be able to get it fixed, might be able to, grab a hold of it, but how are you going to turn around and sell it?
Marketing is
there's
huge.
Yeah, so there's all different aspects to this. It's not just like, hey, I'm going to find somebody to give me money to do this. That's why you need a plan, and that's why when you talk to somebody who does have private lending, they're looking at your whole idea, your whole package. What do you have planned? How are you going to get this certain specific property up and ready to go as far as, all of a sudden the first time home buyer who's walking through those doorsteps the first day that you've got it open and on the market.
Most flippers
What's
don't make
going to
money.
sell? They don't?
Most flippers don't make money, and this is not something that I have stats on because there's not really stats on this nationally or anything. But
Yeah.
one way to find this out: go to a title company. Go to a title company and talk to an escrow officer, somebody who has a busy desk. In other words, they're closing deals, transactions all month long.
Yeah.
A lot of those transactions that come across their desks are flips. And ask them, when a flip comes across to your desk, how much money does a flipper make? And I've talked to quite a few very seasoned, very high-end escrow officers that'll say, 80, 90% of the time we see that people flipping houses aren't making money. Sometimes they're losing money. And I can tell you why.
Okay.
It's not because they did a terrible job on the flip. It's not because they bought a house in the wrong neighborhood. It's because they don't understand the dynamics of what it takes to flip. It's not about what you put into the house or anything. In other words, if I'm going to look at a property, I already know in advance, day one, what that house is going to sell for quickly. The mistake a lot of people make, and this is, I can say this is because there are people in our profession, there are realtors out there. Realtors are really good at trying to get a listing appointment. And with a listing appointment, what you do is you go out there and look at the comps and you try to come up with what is the highest possible value I could sell this home for.
Right. And you got to go with the lowest.
Yeah, and that doesn't work in flipping because somebody who's flipping, they have a cost of capital. In other words, they have money that's like burning a hole in their pocket that they had to borrow or that they're paying back. So you can't wait forever to sell a house. So if you're going to flip it, that cost of capital can be very expensive over time, especially on a hard money loan.
Right.
So you not only have to know that you can sell it when you're done, but what price can I sell it for in 5 days or a week? And that price is going to be different than what is the max possible price on a sunny day that we can get for our house. When I am going to flip or I'm consulting people, I'm looking and they come to me, Dave, I had this call this morning. Somebody called me up. Dave, I want to give you the address. Here's the price. Should I flip this home? And I went in and looked at it, and I looked at what the value that they thought they could get for it, and right away realized there's a big discrepancy. There's $30,000 difference between the price that they think they can sell it for and the price that it probably would sell for quickly. Their profit margin is about $40,000. If there's a $30,000 difference, boom, we can get to the end, and there's no money left.
Yeah, especially if you go in and all of a sudden you're tearing out the floorboards and you find mold or you find this. There's sometimes you rip something out and you find $10,000, not a treasure, but a negative.
Well, I just finished. We just sold a house about a week and a half ago. Matter of fact, I'm going to be speaking on Tuesday night at the meeting about this deal. But we got it into escrow, and the termite report came in, and it had 2 units on the property, and they're both pretty old. Well, the back unit, it didn't look too bad, but of course, it didn't pass termite, the siding on this house. And it wasn't a small section. Like the entire back side of the house, all the siding had to be replaced.
Probably like just from sun damage or?
Sun, it's just an old house. It's just, water, rain, the whole 9 yards. And so, that's an expense that you're not thinking about. You're looking at, and I'll tell you, even if you're an experienced person in the industry, there are going to be things that you miss because you walk into a house and initially you're looking big picture. You're trying to look like, hey, do the walls look straight? Does the roof look like, and just like you would if you were buying a house for yourself.
Right.
But then, you buy the place and you really get into it. Now, all of a sudden, you're looking at every little thing like, wow, I never noticed that electrical outlet there doesn't work.
Right.
Oh my gosh, we've got to get an electrician in here to fix that. Electrician comes in and says, well, hey, all the wiring in the walls doesn't meet code.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, boom, you're looking at $1,000 of electrical work or more.
Right.
You don't notice those things when you just do a 5-minute walk through a house.
And sometimes people they may not be aware of in the flipping industry, you could be looking at flipping a home that you find such a great deal on something, but you're not interested in doing any of the work at all, and you know you're going to grab a hold of it and flip it to somebody else who actually wants to do the work. So you're looking at different numbers and a different way to sell certain properties that you might get a hold on.
Sometimes people come to me and they actually ask me just to do the consulting on the overall deal. In other words, they don't even necessarily want to be involved. I've
Yeah.
actually had investors come to me saying, I'd like to look at a property to flip, but by the way, can you find the property, finance the property, do the work, sell it, and then give me X amount of dollars?
Yeah.
And so and there's a platform for that. That can be done. Some people want more hands-on. I mean, I get people that come to me and maybe more women, but they watch a lot of the shows on the flipping, and they're really into the design end of the house.
Yeah.
It's not that they really care a whole lot. I mean, they want to make money too.
Right.
But what they really want to do is they want to put their dream into this house. They want to put
their vision.
Yeah, the floor is this way and the tile this way, and they want to see how it's all done and how the challenge there sometimes is that those flips can sometimes go way over budget.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get too much into the dream and don't understand the demographics of where you're flipping, so like in my area, I live in the Roseville Granite Bay area, which is different than a lot of the Sacramento area.
Right.
So if you're flipping, like one of the houses we did last year was a lower end flip. I will be non-politically correct. It was a bad neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And so the bottom line is, we weren't going to go in and put, the nicest granite countertops. We went bare minimum on everything. But you know what was funny? Every single person that walked into the house said, "Oh my gosh, this is gorgeous." And we had low end everything. If we had done that in Granite Bay, people would have walked in and been, "No way am I buying this house. It's a piece of junk."
Yeah.
So you have to understand your demographic. Now the difference is, you might flip a house in Granite Bay and spend $500,000 on that house, or $600,000, or $1 million. But we picked that house up in South Sac for $130,000.
Right. And the thing is, like, people have to separate your emotional buying and purchasing has to be for your very own home, because you got that white elephant effect. You know what I mean? You can have the white elephant, but realize it's not going to increase the value.
No, you're absolutely right. It
So
won't.
live in your white elephant, but don't flip it.
Yeah, and one of the things too, people always say to me, am I better off, what about buying a house and living in it and doing the work and then selling it later? In other words, buying the house owner occupied where you can get it cheap.
Right.
Maybe get an FHA loan, 3.5% down, do the work. What I find though is that people normally either never get the work done.
Mm-hmm.
You get moved into the house and all your stuff is in there, and all of a sudden, who wants to come home from work and work on your house all day?
True.
Or in the evening? And so it never really ever gets done, or they don't have the experience. In their mind, they're thinking, I will buy this house, I will do the work. And I get this call, Lori, and I know as a realtor you get it all the time too. One of the most common questions we get in the real estate industry, people call us up and they say, the house that I'm looking for is a house that I can buy cheap that needs some work, and I'll fix it up and I'll sell it for more. Great vision, great idea, great hope. I see the majority of the time that doesn't happen. Either you don't know how to do what needs to get done. Like, I see people say to me, I want to buy this house that needs all this work, fix it up, and flip it. And I'll look at the house and go, oh, so you know how to do HVAC, you know how to do electrical, you know how to put a new roof on? Well, no, I've never done any of that. And I'll go, well, so how are you going to put a new roof on that house if you've never done it before?
Yeah.
How are you going to rewire all the electrical if you've never done it before?
And not only that, but when people are not in the home and you have like a time crunch as far as like, hey, I've got this loan with this high interest rate, you're going to be more motivated to get it done and go in there, do the work, go home and sit in your other house where it's nice and relaxed and you can put your feet up and you're not worried about a leak coming through your ceiling. You know what I mean? And so, I agree with you there. It's a lot more motivating to be working on something that is your project, not your home that you're living in.
How much time do we have here? What is this?
We actually have 15 more minutes.
Perfect. There's something you've probably, Lori, have never heard because I made it up.
Oh,
this
okay.
is
Well,
this
then,
is,
unless I'm a mind reader,
right.
I'll let you know.
This is my own thing. Have you ever heard? No, but have you ever heard of something called a reverse flip?
No.
No. See, I knew. So a reverse flip, and this is something that I made up a little while ago, and you're going to be like, when I tell you what it is, you're going to think, Dave, that's such a stupid name. for this, but a few years ago, I had this thought, and I thought, investors are always looking for a way to put less money into a deal and get a higher rate of return. So
Okay.
if you're an investor and you want to make some real money, listen up to this. So typically when you flip a house, you come in with big dollars. I mean, let's just say we're flipping in the Roseville area. You're going to come in with like $300,000, maybe do $50,000 or $60,000 worth of work. Man, you're into this thing $360,000 of your own money or borrowed money, a lot of cost to capital. Let's say you're trying to make 20% or give or take about
I think I
60,000.
have your idea figured out, and this is awesome.
So what I thought of a couple years ago is I thought there's got to be a way that we could put far less money in, have far less risk, and have higher rates of return. And I finally figured it out, and I call it reverse flipping. And it's where you go to, instead of buying the house from somebody and flipping it, there's a lot of people that want to sell their house for top dollar and they cannot do it. And the reason they cannot do it, and I see this all the time in places like Rio Linda, areas that are older where not everybody has a lot of money.
Right.
And what ends up happening is you get this house, it's been in the family for 40 or 50 years. It needs a ton of work and repairs. It can't go FHA sometimes. And they want to sell it. The realtor comes in and says, well, it's a piece of junk. And it's not going to sell. I mean, just, bluntly.
Luckily, I've never said that, so that's not my quote. Okay.
I've said that. It's a piece of junk, and it's not going to sell for anything. And so they end up putting it on the market. An investor comes in, pays cash, and steals the deal. The investor makes out like a bandit. The homeowner doesn't.
True.
Realtor does pretty good. They get their commission. The investor does pretty good. But the homeowner, and it's their house after all,
Yeah.
they're the ones that kind of get burned. So I thought, wait a minute, what if we kind of reversed this? What if we went to the homeowner before they sell the house? And we say, you've got this house with a ton of equity. How about we put a lien on the house and we do all the work with our flipping crews? In other words, we're used to coming in and doing work on houses. And we do all the work before we list it. Then we list it, sell it for absolute top dollar, and work out an equitable split so that you get more than you would have received the other way, but the investor also makes a good return.
I like how you said lean because my question mark was how are you going to force this person into selling? There could be a lot of legalities.
Well, there's definitely some risk, and one risk is, let's talk about the bad with the good.
Okay.
The risk to the investor, because there might be somebody listening right now going, this is the greatest idea in the world. I'll run out there and find somebody that needs work, and I'll offer them this. One risk that you do run is that, let's just say you put a blanket, second mortgage on a house for, $40,000 and paid for all their work. And then after their house looks amazingly beautiful,
They want to stay.
they're like, I'm not going to move now.
I love this house.
This is the greatest house in the world, but I should have done this years ago. Hey, thanks for the money.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you're looking at a situation where you're really having to foreclose upon them.
Right.
You really want to do your due diligence in advance if this is a house where, if that happened, you have a reasonable ability with the type of note that you put on the property and the way you structured it so that you could actually foreclose.
Right, because if they have a first or another loan on it,
Right.
you might not be able to. You might have to wait until 30 years from now.
And what I would do, in addition to that, is I would do a business agreement with the person. In other words, I'm not just some guy giving them a second mortgage. I'm a guy giving them a second mortgage because we're entering into a business agreement.
Right, so bring your lawyers, right, so you just totally can express the severity of their decision.
Yeah, we show up with the A-team. But,
Yeah, exactly.
No, but you just want to be careful. You just want to be
no,
careful.
I agree. I mean, all kinds of red flags, but also,
And I think you need to ask questions too. Set the stage at the beginning.
I think so too. I think there's a certain group that this would work great for.
There are people, and you ask people. Hey, let me talk to you about 3-4 months from now.
Yeah.
Let's say that we do this work and your house looks amazing. How likely are you going to be to want to stay here?
Maybe even inheritance.
Yeah, and one thing we can do, and this is kind of cool. Let's take that example where, let's say we have a house that's worth $200,000, needs a lot of work. Let's say we put $40,000 into the house, and now realistically it could be sold for $300,000. And that's not those aren't unrealistic numbers. Those type of numbers are every day. One thing they can do now is they have the ability, because now they have a house that it'll qualify for a regular loan. Maybe they just want to refinance and pay you off.
Right.
And so you have the ability in advance to make sure they can do that. So I might say to somebody, because I have a lending background, if we rehab this house and you love it and you want to stay there, do you have the ability to qualify for a refinance to pay me off? So I don't have to foreclose on you.
Right.
And they might say, well, let's check that out. Well, at that point, we look at them from a standpoint of how do you actually qualify? If your house was in great shape, could you qualify for a $150,000 or $200,000 loan.
That's a great idea, too.
And we'll pre-qualify them in advance so that we know when the work is done, you have option A and B. Option A is we sell the house and you make more money than you would have before. Option B,
Kind of like that show, List It or Love It.
love it or list it.
Love It or List It.
Love
yeah.
it, list it. I love that show. I watch it all
Yeah.
the time, and of course, they always love it.
I know.
It's like they never want to move, and that's why that's why I say there is some risk there.
Yeah.
But I think you can mitigate that risk quite a bit just knowing what you're doing.
And also, I mean, and I'm just thinking as a consumer in this situation, maybe, okay, so let's just say you've got a house where maybe there's, like you said, there's only a mortgage on it for $30,000, and let's say it does need the $30,000 worth of work, and it could sell for $300,000. But let's just say if they went ahead and sold it with no work, they could sell easily their home for $100,000. So maybe you would say, hey, that part we're not even going to split with you. We're going to split the part that would be benefit or that you would have made because of our work. There are a lot of ways to make
There
it
is.
super legit.
And that's what
where-
we do, by the way.
Yeah.
And we don't do it. This isn't the type of thing. When I'm talking about these aren't the type of deals that you find that you're doing every single day. You know, these are a little more unique. And but we do look at that. I mean, obviously, as an investor, from a lot of standpoints, one, wanting to do the right thing. Secondly, not wanting to burn anybody, and wanting to do things ethically and legally.
Right.
We're never going to pay somebody less than what they would have made before.
Right.
Just simply because that would be the wrong thing to do.
Do we have a caller?
Yeah, we have a realtor who wants to showcase one of our
Okay,
listings.
so we've got a realtor who would like to call in for our local pitch. Let's see, who do we have on the line?
It's Kara.
Hi, how are you doing? Thank you so much for calling in, Kara.
You're welcome. How are you?
Good. Okay, let's hear it, hon.
Okay, so I have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, cute as anything, little house in Colfax on Forest Hill Street. The buyers bought it and took it all the way down to the studs pretty much and then brought it back up. And it is super cute. We are in escrow. We are looking for backup offers now.
Okay, so you are looking for backup offers in a house that is in Colfax, and your name is Kara. And do you want to give out your full name and your number for anybody who is interested?
Sure.
And
I'm
who you
Kara
work for, of course.
Trusrick Gaylor.
Oh, I'm sorry, say it again. I was interrupting you. I'm sorry.
Kara Trusrick Gaylor, or Colfax Kara, as some people know me by. And I'm at 916-223-5337.
Okay, awesome. And who do you work for?
I'm with Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate.
Okay, awesome. And I want to say thank you so much for calling in for our local pitch. And good luck with that listing and keep us posted. Hopefully you'll get it to go through. If not, hopefully you'll get a backup offer.
Okay. Yeah,
All right.
and it's for $225. I probably should have said that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. That's a great price.
Okay.
That is a great price.
Thank you, Laurie.
All right, thank you so much, Kara. Okay.
I want to do a quick shout out because I just got a text message that my daughter and my wife are listening
Aw.
at our place there in Granite Bay. So shout out to my wife Carol and my daughter Nicole, who you met. They were at the meeting. My wife and my daughter normally come to our meetup meetings as well.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for listening, you guys. I love it when family listens. My family always tunes in as well. So,
Well,
think that's
I
great.
like having them come to my meetings because at least I know there's always going to be two people there. you
Yeah,
know?
that is hilarious. See, he works hard every single time because you know what? You've got to work hard like it's not there, but it's there.
You really
You're
do.
never gonna
You
have to
really
worry.
do.
You're never gonna have to worry about that. So, okay, back to the flips. Now, is there anything else we want to cover on that? I mean, I've got an awesome list of questions that were provided by this man, actually.
Oh, I know something I want to talk about.
Okay.
Crowdfunding.
Okay, crowdfunding.
This
Let's
is one
hear
of the
it.
coolest things in the world. You've heard of crowdfunding on the internet.
Yes.
You know, people crowdfund all kinds of things. You know, I mean,
On LinkedIn, it's like all over the place.
yeah, and there are some ridiculously stupid things people crowdfund things for. You know, it's like, and I guess maybe they're stupid to me, but like I see these ones. You know, I want to get my 15th tattoo, and I need $11,000 because it's going to cover my whole body, or you know, whatever. But you know, crowdfunding for real estate. Some people don't know that you can crowdfund for real estate. You can. In other words, you can actually go out, and there's a company that I have a connection with that I crowdfund some things through is a company called Patch of Land. They're down in Santa Monica, California area. And I've actually been to their headquarters. I know their CEO.
So we know it's there. you
Yeah,
guys.
I've been there. It's literally there. And it's a nice office, by the way, huge office. And what they do is they work with investors, people that are looking for money, and also people that want to get a good return. And the unique thing about crowdfunding is if I'm an investor and I put, let's say I have $100,000 and I put all of my eggs in one basket. I put $100,000, I loan it to somebody on a property. I have high risk if there's a problem on that transaction.
Definitely.
But let's say that I go on to a site like Patch of Land and there's 10 projects like that in the California area, and I put $10,000 into each one. My rate of return is the same, but I'm diversified over 10 totally different properties run by 10 totally different people. And I can also look and see what their success is. In other words, am I doing business with people that have a track record of finding good properties, doing the work, and making a good rate of return?
And timely.
Timely. The most incredible thing about crowdfunding is that if structured correctly, you can structure it off what is called ARV, or after repair value. So a lot of people ask about that. They say, well, I can buy this property for $200, I can put $50 into it, but it's going to be worth $400. Why do I still need to put 20% down? And that's a great question. Why do you need to put 20% down? Again, with the private money, you may be able to get away with that. But with a traditional lender, you can't. Well, a lot of times the crowdfunding guys they're not as strict in that area. In other words, they're flexible too. So they might say, well, you only need 10% of your own money, and we'll loan all the money to buy and all the money for rehab because our ARV, our after repair value, is so good. And I've done a fair number of crowdfunding deals. And
Okay, successfully?
Successfully, where
That is awesome.
where we've crowdfunded deals for people that are looking to flip or buy properties.
Oh, I
that kind
thought
of
you
thing.
meant the tattoo. Oh, okay.
Oh, well, yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm working on that. That 11,000 was actually for me. I'm going to get the name of my real estate
That's why
investing
he's got
group.
long sleeves on,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about image.
Yeah, exactly.
All about image. So crowdfunding is definitely an option too. A lot of
That's
people,
great.
crowdfunding is sexy.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. I mean, it's something that's new and it's different, and people that don't understand it will come to me and say, well, how do you crowdfund? How do you get the money? And I don't think there's probably better avenues, but one cool thing is that crowdfunding works great when you have really non-specific properties, or I should say non-conforming.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've got that weird property, it's an apple orchard, it's got a houseboat on a permanent foundation, just something really weird.
Or a trailer park or a campground.
Yeah,
Something like where people are like, wait, how am I going to get money for this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No lender wants to get within 100 miles of that property, because they don't want to. They know if they foreclose it, they'll never be able to sell it.
Yeah.
And a crowdfunding company will come along and pitch it out to their investors, and if they can raise the capital, if there's interest in it, then they'll raise the capital for it.
That is so great.
And you might have to offer a little higher interest rate, but that's the way investing works. The risk is there's a balance between the risk and the interest rate.
Exactly. Okay, so we only have a minute, and I want you to pitch your information one more time before we go. And I also want to say thank you very much for taking the time not only to be on the show, but to drive up and be here personally.
Oh, it's been a blast. As I said, I love doing radio, and this is my second time on the show.
Yes.
My name's David Oldenburg, and I am a real estate investor and consultant. I also run a group called the Roseville Meetup Group in Roseville, but anybody's welcome. It's a free group. It is at rosevillemeetup.com. We are a real estate investing group, so if you're a newbie, you can come. If you are a seasoned investor, you can come. Really, anybody who's interested in investing, we'd love to have you. And again, rosevillemeetup.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. Thank you, Chris. And we'll be here next week from 4 to 5 for the Safari Real Estate Show. Thank you very much.
You're listening to KMYC Marysville, 1410 AM, The Patriot. Marysville and Yuba City's #1